Namaste and welcome to today's session. So, let's start today's session with a short sitting practice, and then we will see what this session is going to be about. Okay, so sit comfortably wherever you are and take a nice, long, deep breath in. You can close your eyes. And as you're sitting comfortably, with your eyes closed, watching your breath, let go of whatever may be playing on your mind before you came to this session. When you close your eyes, get in touch with the life that you are, the consciousness that you are. Just come into the present moment by releasing effort, by relaxing yourself. No matter what may be happening in your life, no matter what may be playing on your mind, right now in this moment, just be. Right now, there's nothing to do. Right now, there's nothing to become. Just surrender and let go. Just be. Silent, still, conscious. Comfortable with the silence, comfortable with the stillness, be comfortable with whatever is appearing in consciousness. Even if there is a feeling which doesn't feel nice, do not resist. Do not make any goal out of the sitting practice. Sitting practice is not for us to feel good. It is not to become more aware. It's not to become more mindful. Simply experiencing our existence as is. Simply taking note of our consciousness as is. Whatever is appearing in consciousness right now is exactly how it is meant to be. Do not fight it. Do not try to change it. Just observe whatever is happening. Surrender, let go, drop effort. Drop the idea of how I should be, someone else should be, or how life should be. Let go of all ideas and notions. Surrender to this moment. Allow life to be how it wants to be in this moment. There's no right, there's no wrong, there's no good, there's no bad, there's no should, there's no should not. Whatever is how it is in this present moment. Remember, even after we come out of the sitting practice, this ability to surrender to the present moment, this opportunity to surrender to the present moment is always there with us. All we need to do is take a pause from whatever we are doing, whatever we are thinking, whatever we are involved with, whatever we are engaged with, and come back into awareness of this moment. By simply surrendering to it. Take a deep breath in and exhale. Take another deep breath in and exhale. Slowly and gently, you can rub your palms and cup your eyes. Okay, so I hope the sitting practice is helpful to sort of come back into a state of balance. Um, Quite often, there's always something which is going on in our mind. It is thinking about what we think about others. Um, it's thinking about making plans for the future. It's sometimes thinking about what has happened in the past. It's thinking about how to deal with a particular situation. Uh, it's thinking about uh, how a particular situation or a person made us feel or makes us feel. Um, it's thinking about what decision or choice to make related to something in the future. It's thinking about becoming more mindful, more aware, what one needs to do for that, or how to free yourself from thinking. It could be thinking about that. So there are multiple things that are going on in our mind all the time. And the nature of the mind is such that sometimes it's making us feel good about ourselves. Mm. Uh, uh, it it's like uh, there is a disorder in psychology, and it's called a bipolar disorder. And what a bipolar disorder does is um, it takes an individual into very high energy, uh, manic energy, which is the person becomes very fully charged, has wants to do a lot of things, is very inspired, is very creative, is very active, full of enthusiasm. This is the energy it's like, and perhaps the person may not even sleep because the person is so filled with that kind of enthusiasm, inspiration, and the person can achieve a lot of creative things, can do a lot of extraordinary things in that period, achieve a lot of things, and that's the high of the bipolar disorder. uh, and the low of that disorder is when the high goes, then the mind, the mental energy of the person dips, and then it goes into feeling low. It feels depressed. It's almost lacking totally in any kind of energy. It just wants to perhaps lie in bed. It feels it can't do anything. It just, the person just wants to be alone, just wants to sleep all the time, maybe just doesn't have the willpower to do anything. So it's going from up and it's going down. And that's why it's called a bipolar disorder, which means the mind takes you up and the mind takes you down. Most of us perhaps also have some degree of bipolarness, because the nature of the mind is works in polarities. Something good happens, you feel good. Something bad happens, you feel low. And that is how mostly the mind is. But for a person who's considered more or less normal, those ranges of bipolarness are within a certain range. But a person perhaps who's diagnosed with bipolar disorder is goes to a very high and then goes to a low, and then that's his natural functioning. So it's not within that um, range which is considered normal. So the reason I'm talking about this is for us to really understand how our mind functions. Our mind functions in polarities. Uh, um, our mind functions in dualities, high, low, good, bad, should not, right, wrong. So this is how our mind tends to function. So when our mind is in that state of high, generally we feel we can achieve anything, we can do anything, we feel totally empowered. And then when the mind goes low for whatever reasons, we feel um, all kinds of negative feelings. So we feel worthless, we feel not loved, we feel um, lonely, we may feel isolated, we may feel depressed. So this is the nature of the mind. And uh, it's not just the thoughts, but it's also the sensations that created because of this bipolarness. We go up, we go down, and the up creates certain kind of energy sensations in the body. So when the mind is charged, we have a rush of chemicals and dopamine, and we like that. It's and when the mind comes down, then we feel that sense of emptiness. We may feel a sense of hollowness. We may feel a sense of constriction in the chest or the throat, whatever different sensations. Uh, but it's important to realize that neither of these movements, whether it's the mind going up, whether it's the mind going low, whether it's feeling positive emotions because of something that has triggered positive emotions, maybe someone is saying good, maybe something is happening, and or you're feeling low emotions for whatever reasons. The vital thing is that if we want to come out of this cycle, or if we want the range not to be so high and so low, and we want the range to be normal, and perhaps a time comes when there is a term that is used in the Bhagavad Gita, samatvam yoga uchyate, which means equanimity is yoga, or yoga is equanimity. So equanimity means that we are not so ruled by highs and lows, but we are in a state of equanimity. So one must watch what the mind is doing rather than get too carried away with the mind. And in order to watch the mind, it's good to take a pause. because it's difficult to watch the mind when you're in the midst of doing something, when you're in the midst of talking, when you're midst of mm, you know shopping, when in the midst of working on something. It's difficult to watch the mind because the mind is actually preoccupied and engaged with something. So it's difficult to take a step back and watch what the mind is doing. So it's good sometime to take a pause, maybe sit still, avoid distraction for some time, and just close your eyes, take a deep breath in, and observe what's happening. Observe the sensations, observe the thoughts, observe the breath. Just observe without any goal, without any agenda. Whether you're feeling high, observe. Whether you're feeling low, observe. And when we cultivate this habit of constantly observing what the mind is doing, constantly witnessing what the mind is doing. And when I'm using the mind, I am using the mind in terms of it's a simple one term, but it includes the different functions of the mind. What are the different functions of the mind? Uh, Memory, imagination, emotions, feelings, sensations, associations, perceptions, thoughts, judgments, point of views, opinions, interpretations, meaning making. All these are nothing but the activities of the mind. And all this is going on in our inner world. So just watch them, because once we cultivate this habit of just watching watching the mind, whether it's in a state of high, whether it's in a state of feeling low, we will realize that it's the mind is like a mirage. It has no, there's nothing concrete about it, there's nothing permanent about it. It's always in a state of movement, it's always in a state of flux. And if there is a high, then that's not going to remain. If there is a low, that's not going to remain, because all the functions of the mind, the memories, the thoughts, the sensations, the perceptions, the association, the emotions, the feelings, everything is always in a state of movement. It's constantly moving. Mm. There is no sthirta, there is no fixedness about the nature of the mind. It's always in a state of movement. And what's not moving is this awareness that is watching the mind. That is not moving. Now, what do I mean by that's not moving? If I were to give you a metaphor, which is very common, whatever is projected on this screen of in the movie theater, all the light which is getting, which is creating the characters and the story, they're constantly moving, but the screen itself is not moving. The screen is simply always there. No matter whatever is happening on the screen is always there. So if we can cultivate this habit, or we can remember to watch the mind, then we are not swayed so much by the mind. We are not so caught up by the emotions, sensations, feeling, thoughts, stories, judgments of the mind. But if you're not able to watch the mind, then we then we are sucked into the thoughts, feelings, sensations, stories, association, imagination, memories of the mind. So, and especially for, I think, some people, when, when I instruct them into a sitting practice, I say, just sit still, just watch what's happening, watch the sensations, watch the breath. Most people are unable to watch because the thoughts are so predominant that even just for a second or two, they may get a glimpse of watching the breath or their what's happening, and then immediately the thoughts will take them somewhere. It will take you into some la la land or whatever, your to-do list or something or the other. Thoughts will hardly you can watch, or just simply sit in silent presence. Hardly you can do that because the thoughts are so strong and so prevalent. In which case, then I would suggest that forget about watching the breath, forget about watching the sensations. Just focus on watching the mind. Imagine that, um, like a cat is watching a mouse hole. Hmm? And uh, if a cat is watching a mouse hole from where the mouse emerges, uh, so imagine that you are the cat of awareness, which is watching this mouse hole called the mind, from which the mouse called thought emerges. So then the practice is just that. You close your eyes, wherever you visualize yourself, wherever you think the mind is, you just watch to see what is the next thought that is going to emerge. So generally, when we are not watchful, then the thoughts are just like a stream. They're just coming, going, coming, going. We are not aware of what what we are thinking most of the time. But make a practice that you just sit still and just watch the mind. But you will notice that when you watch the mind, then the thoughts stop for some time, because either the darkness can remain, either the light can remain. The process of watching is like light, and the process of unconscious thinking is like darkness. I'm just using two metaphors. Now, if you're attentive, if you're watching, if you're observing, mostly thoughts will not come. And even if they come, they will come, you'll be aware, immediately you'll be aware of what thought has come. It's only when we are not watching, when we are not attentive to what's happening in the mind, then the mice are doing their own thing. Mice means the thoughts coming, going, creating feelings, creating sensations. So make that a practice of simply sitting and just watching the mind. And when I say mind, like I said, I mean in a larger context. Watch the thoughts, watch the sensations, watch the emotions, the feelings that the thoughts are also creating. Just observe what is this mind doing, because the mind is always doing something or the other. So it's good to take a pause. It's good to take a back seat. It's good to simply take some time out to observe the mind. And what happens when we begin to observe the mind, and something really vital happens when we observe the mind. Slowly and gradually, we will notice, we will begin to notice that this mind, this radio, this thoughts is going on most of the time. Earlier, we were in the thoughts. We were a character in the thoughts, and now we can watch the thoughts. So there is like a separation that happens between uh, the mind and you mean the watcher, the you mean the witness. So earlier there was a fusion between um, the thoughts, and the thoughts were creating a character called you, and I have to do this, I have to um, like all the things that the I told the mind is thinking. I What does this person think of himself? I need to, I'm not so and so. I'm not a, self judgments about all these things the mind is doing, and we are a character in the story of the mind and the thoughts. When we begin to watch the mind, then slowly there is space. And there is a sort of a disengagement of me, the watcher, and the mind. Mm. So, me, the watcher, becomes separate. Now, imagine this is the mind. The me, the watcher, is watching the mind. Mm. Then, the more I keep watching, this space increases. This me, the watcher, is is stable, is constant. This mind, perception, sensations, thoughts, feelings, emotions, memories, imagination, all this is transitory, all this is changing all the time. But this witness is constant. Hmm. When the watching is not there, when supposing you're not attentive, then this witness gets, then this disappears. This witness is always there, but the attention gets consumed in the thoughts. And then you become a character of the mind, and with whatever feeling, this is happening to me, this is um, my story, this is what I am, this is, all that stuff. Then you become, and then when you again begin to witness and watch the mind, you become separate from the mind, and you can see, okay, these are the stories and the thoughts and the emotions, the feelings, the sensations, all this that the mind is creating. I am the witness which is watching this. I am separate from it. Till the time I'm merged with the mind, then I give more energy to the mind, because one thought leads to the other thought, and then one reflection, one memory association leads to another memory association. It's like, any thought, like if you think about school, one school, then you'll remember one person who you had in school. And then now you're remembering, oh, where does this person stay? Oh, this person stays in Varanasi. And then Varanasi, say you will think about, oh, I've never been to Varanasi. Oh, from Varanasi, then you will start thinking about, oh, that movie I saw that was based in Varanasi. Oh, that was so tragic, that happened, romantic. There's no point in falling in love. Where did it all start? It started from school. So there is no awareness. It's just one thing is linked to the other, and it keeps going on and on and on and on. But when you begin to watch the mind, this begins to lose its power. This begins to lose its, this becomes stronger. The witness becomes stronger, and this becomes weaker, 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 weaker. Because the one thing that the mind, I often say this, I give the example of this movie Superman. Superman is all powerful, but one thing that he cannot stand, which makes him totally weak, is this green blue stone called kryptonite. Similarly, the mind is extremely powerful, but one thing that the mind cannot stand is to be watched, to be witnessed. And once it's watched and witnessed, either it disappears, or either it begins to lose its power. So when you're watching, there is just watching. You're not judging the mind, like if a thought is coming, oh, mm, whatever thought there may be coming, or whatever feeling or emotion that may be coming. Oh, I'm not loved. And like, let's say that's just one thought. Now, there is no analysis about this thought. There is no judgment about this thought. Oh, how can I think like this? oh, there's no meaning making about this thought, nothing. There's simply watching means pure witness, just simply watching. There is no interpretation, there is no, when you see from the eyes of the mind, there's a lot of interpretation, analysis, evaluation, all that going on. But when you see from the eyes of awareness, then there's just pure witnessing. So practice this, and you will realize, and it all depends on your level of evolution. There may be some people who are totally fused with their mind and their thoughts, who have um, never done any kind of witnessing or awareness or meditative practice or mindfulness or whatever you may call it. Then there are some people who have now begun to do it, and now they can see what this radio commentary is going on. And there may be people who have done this practice for a long time, and they're very aware of what's happening in their mind. um, I remember when I just started my journey in spirituality, and I'd started meditating, and I'd begin to keep quiet, be silent. And I did like a 5 day silence course. I, for the first time, I realized I must be what, 24, I guess, 25. For the first time, I realized that there was all these thoughts were going on, and I was never aware of these thoughts. Like a radio was going on inside of me, and I had no idea that there's a radio going on inside of me. So, and that's pretty much the condition of most human beings. The radio is going on inside of them, which is unconscious thoughts all the time. And most human beings are unaware that there's a radio going on inside of them. Most beings believe, I am making this radio play. Most human beings believe, I am thinking the thought. Actually, this thought is happening by itself. This radio is playing by itself. It's only when you begin to witness and watch, then you will realize the unconscious nature of thoughts, which is creating a person called me. And this person called me, with his stories, with his unconscious beliefs, with his memories, with his associations, with his past, with his conditioning, all of whatever is what we call the mind. So, yeah, so make it like, you don't have to make it a serious thing. I need to watch my mind. So you can make it like a game. Every now and then you can take a pause and check in. Just like you check in while boarding a flight, you have to first check in. Simply check in. Okay, what's happening in the mind now? Let me see what's playing in the mind, what channel, what thoughts are going on, what feelings, emotions, sensations are going on. So just check in. And it's easier to check in when you are still, when perhaps eyes are closed, because if you want to observe the mind, then you want to avoid distractions. Um, and the more you're able to still your body, the more you're able to have breathe calmly, your eyes are closed, because all these are physical factors which also create more mind. I don't have, like, imagine there's a transparent bottle of water with half filled with water, and that transparent bottle is your body, and the half filled water in the bottle is your mind. Now, if I'm shaking the bottle all the time, then the water inside the bottle is also shaking all the time. So if I want to make my mind still or observe the mind, I need to at least first make the bottle, which is the body, stationary. Mm. So it's good if you can make your body stationary. If it's good, you can sit comfortably for some time. It's good if you can just close your eyes for some time and just, okay, let me see what's this mind doing. And actually, it's quite quite interesting and entertaining because we like to watch Netflix, we like to watch movies, we like to browse the internet, we like to watch various things on YouTube. W- I'll tell you, there's nothing more interesting and engaging and entertaining than our own mind. So maybe one day, rather than going and watching Netflix, you say, okay, let me watch what is happening on the Netflix of my mind. What movie is playing on my mind? What is this mind thinking? What is this character doing or created by the mind? What is the feelings, sensations, emotion? So just watch it like a like an uninvolved audience who's not involved in the story, just simply watching. Mm. And the more space you're able to create between you, the witness, and the mind, the more you will realize I am not my mind, I am not the ego, I am not the identity, I am not the individual that the mind makes me believe, the character of that is created through thoughts. I hope you are able to understand what I'm trying to say. Like, I believe I'm a person, I have a name, I have a history, I have whatever, a future, I have things to do, this happened to me. All that the mind has created based on memories of the past and imaginations of the future, based on its perceptions, based on its interpretations. The more I'm able to witness it, the more this imaginary character, this fictional character of the mind will lose its power. Because and that's what we say, when you're in the mind, then you're identified with your thoughts, and then when you're identified with your thoughts, you're a character, you are that ego identity that the mind is creating. When you're a witness to your mind, when you can watch the mind without any engagement involvement, then you're no longer identified, you're disidentified from your thoughts. And there is space, and then you can see this mind. The role of the witness is not really now to really there's no role of the witness. That's the point I want to make. Now, by you may think like, oh, now that there is space, in this space I can make a choice, I cannot react, I will respond. A lot of people would be influenced by Viktor Frankl's quote, between a trigger and a stimulus. What is that? Because trigger and a stimulus, something, there is a space, and in that space there is a choice for me to react and respond. No, the purpose of witnessing is to just witness. It is not with any goal agenda. Oh, by witnessing the mind, I will not react, I will now respond. Oh, by now creating more space between me and the mind, I will be more calm. I will not get angry in the future. Because all these thoughts are also of the identity of the mind. The witnessing, silence is not saying any of this. The mind is saying all of this. This is a very subtle point that I would like you to sort of understand. Any thoughts which, like, oh, I need to be more calm, I need to be more present. By witnessing, I will be more present, I will not get carried away, I will make correct choices. All of this is the identity of the mind which is creating. The mind is trying to take on an identity of a mindful person. Now the mind is taking on an identity of a spiritual person. Earlier, the mind had an identity of a reactive person. Now, the mind, through this practice, is now wanting to take on another identity of a mindful person, a aware person, a reformed person, a spiritual person, an enlightened person. which is nothing but another identity. So be careful about this aspect of the mind. The purpose of watching and witnessing the mind is just to witness. It has no goal, it has no purpose. And I may be tempted to give you a purpose. So if I have to give you a purpose, it is to realize that I am not the mind. That is the only purpose. That I am not the thoughts, I'm not the story, I'm not the character that the mind creates. I am, I am not this. Who I am, I can't talk about that. But this much I can say, the purpose of watching the mind is to realize I am not the mind, I am not the thoughts, I am not the person, I'm not the individual, I'm not the ego identity that the mind is creating. That is the purpose. And then once you know who you are not, perhaps you're coming closer to who you truly are. Now, which cannot really be spoken about, but this this identification, this not me, in Vedantic terms, this is called neti. Neti means not me, not me, not me, not this, not this, not this. I'm not the memory, I'm not the imagination, I'm not the association, I'm not the emotions, I'm not the past, I'm not the future, I'm not the body, I'm not the mind. by by saying not me, not me, not me, then you come towards closer to who you are. And something I wanted to share, but it's popped out of my mind now. So this is a practice to realize that this is not me. This mind created identity is not me. And the more I'm able to watch the mind, witness the mind, the more I can disidentify it. And I'll say that this is not me. Neti, not me, not me. Mm. So, so I think that's today's session is seems to be all about watching the mind. Mm. Uh, the more we are able to watch the mind, the more we are able to witness the mind, the more we are able to just see thoughts, feelings, emotions as for what they are. Nothing, no interpretation, no judgment. Witnessing, watching is has no has nothing more to it. There's no words. The witness has no words. It just simply is watching. Like simply the sky is just watching the clouds. Imagine the clouds are the thoughts, feelings, sensations, emotions, perceptions, whatever, memories, vagera, vagera. The sky is just watching. All the words are in the clouds, the thoughts. The thoughts have all the words, the interpretation, this, that, sentences, language, all that is in the thoughts. But the witness has no words, has no language. It's just silent, just watching like the sky. Hmm. So make that a practice to just witness and watch the mind. And don't make it a serious affair. Don't make a goal out of it also. That's another thing. Everything that you make a goal out of is actually a goal of the mind, because the witness has no goal, has no agenda, has no need to become more aware, more mindful, more spiritual. Nothing. The witness is simply silent. It's the mind which creates all these goals of becoming more mindful, more aware, more spiritual, more this, more that, more that, more. The witness is simply watching. So don't make a goal out of this whole business of watching. Whenever, maybe you can create rituals, you can create routines, maybe sometime during the day you will sit, take a pause, just watch. Just like you brush your teeth twice a day, you have a bath once a day or twice a day, I don't know. You have your meals. So simply make a ritual, a routine of watching the mind. And what's the purpose? If at all I have to give you a purpose, to realize that I am not the mind. I am separate from the mind. Who I am, I don't know. But at least I need to extract myself from this identity and ego that my thoughts are making me believe who I am. I need to extract myself. Right now, I'm like fused with the thoughts. And there's nothing wrong being fused with the thoughts, because if you want to be with the thoughts, then fine, be with the thoughts. But then you have to accept that the thoughts will take you in this bipolar fashion. It will take you high, it will take you low. It will take you high, it will take you low. This is the nature of the mind. If you are ready for this, what is that ride I in the fair that they have? What do you call this? Some ride topsy turvy. What, like, I'm not getting it, but it's like a ride. It'll take you high, it'll take you low, it'll take you high, it'll take you low. If you're happy with that highs and lows, then you can continue to, you don't need to watch the mind, and that is how it is. But if you're tired of all this constant highs and lows, which is almost like a mental thing, then practice watching the mind, witnessing the mind. Okay, so so on that note, let's end today's session, and let's end it with a small spontaneous prayer. Close your eyes, join your palms, and namaste if you wish. My dear higher self, help me to watch the mind, all the aspects of the mind, thoughts, sensations, emotions, feelings, perceptions, interpretations, judgments, memories, associations, imagination, reasoning. Whatever is the mind does, help me to just watch it. Help me to not make a goal out of this watching, or wanting to become more spiritual, more responsible, more calm, more peaceful. Help me to just watch with no goal, with no intention other than to simply witness. Help me in my journey of self awareness to realize my true self. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Okay, so with that, we end today's session. I hope you do practice watching the mind as often as you can without making it into a goal, without making it into an agenda, and yet incorporating that in your routine, in your daily practice, as one of the things to do. Do share if you have anything on your comments about this practice. So goodbye, and take care. God bless.